We are back with the fabulous Lisa Ackerman talking about TACA, Talk About Curing Autism, an amazing organization. So let's start at the beginning. It didn't exist, and you had a child.
And I think I share this story a bunch of times, but I went to a couple of meetings, and sadly, it was a bunch of people mourning, and I thought they should all be wearing black, and I was really trying to find answers. I didn't want to give up on Jeff at 2.5, and some of these folks were at the give up point. And so, I think you laugh. And Moira told this story earlier this week when she was on, like a full, complete idiot, posted my home address, phone number, and just said, hey, I'm lost in autism land. Do you want to know what the hell these diets are and this medical stuff is? Me too. Come join us. And opened the door that Saturday, and 10 faces were looking back at me, and I was just floored. But what was the most beautiful thing was birds of a feather don't need a study for that. They do flock together.
Yeah.
And something about maybe the humor, or not the desperation, there was no desperation other than just humor and just, I want to drive answers, attracted other people that had a little humor and wanted to drive answers as well.
Yeah.
And we, at the end of the meeting, led with the list. Everyone had an actionable for the next meeting and was going to report back. And so we met again, and there were more people that came along, and we reported back. And now it's not about one person. TACA is now an army.
Yeah.
And I look at, I look back behind and around and all over. There are people that, they live and breathe the mission, and they embody what the mission's about. And I'm thrilled, A, that they're there, but B, that they're so committed. And none of these people, are being paid, and if they are being paid as a staff member, they sure as heck can make more money working part-time at McDonald's,
right?
Which, don't eat their... Well, sorry.
We'll get into that
focus
later.
On some good healthy stuff, choices, people. But, and it's just grown so much. So it's kind of, it needed to happen, or, it would have been selection out. And it wouldn't have happened. It would have been part of something else.
Well, and it's funny because hindsight is always 20/20. But this idea of that first group, the morning group that you didn't want to be a part of. Yeah. And there are still people.
And that's okay. You need that place. Sometimes you need to cry your brains out. And then pull yourself together. But I was past the the crying my brains out piece.
Yeah.
I wanted to get moving.
But even now, when somebody gets a diagnosis, a lot of times they get told. I'm still hearing from people that they're told, put your child in an institution. You're not told anything different.
We get 5 calls a week with that statement at TACA. It's either email or call. But we take hundreds of calls and emails every week, and it just. I want to literally rip their head off, and I'm not a violent person. It's how you could set such low expectations, or you have no crystal ball. You have no idea where this kid's going to be, and how dare you take away anything.
But there are people who are saying that to parents, and they were then. And, it's all easy for us for some of us now to say, well, of course you were in a place of saying, I want to be hopeful. But back then, there was nobody saying that.
No.
It really was a new idea.
It was worse than the end of the Mayan calendar. Yeah. I mean, really, which is in a couple weeks, I think. So let's have some wine, Emily.
I think it's easy for always good. But it's always good to look back and think, this really was revolutionary, what you were saying then. And fortunately for a lot of us, it's not a revolutionary idea now, but it still is for many people.
Yeah, and different parts of the world that you would think, that one family recently, they were in Boston. That's not too, that's a hub and a great place, and maybe it's a doctor that just didn't understand. And we know physicians, when they go through their training, they get about 10 minutes on autism, and then they move along.
Right, it's the 10 minutes right after nutrition that they have.
Exactly.
That then they feel like they can tell everybody what they should and should not eat.
Yeah, I always love when, they say, hey, just put, some fiber on your kid's trick cereal, and that will solve their constipation.
Yes, thank you so much.
Sorry.
No.
Stay with us.
But frustrating that they don't get more in either of those areas, and a lot of times those areas tend to go hand in hand.
Yeah, but the drug, the prescription pad, that training goes on for decades.
Absolutely.
That's the problem. Please, I'm not anti-drug. I think the biggest issue to me is they have their place and their purpose.
Yeah.
I'm not thrilled about that's the first step.
Yeah.
Unless it's what I always say, it's the 3 S's: seizure, sleep, or self-injurious behaviors. You really, I look at, those are the 3 primaries as to why you pull out that prescription pad, because you've got to really stop gap things.
There you go.
But you've got to then peel back the layers of the onion.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to get on an anti-drug thing. That's not it at all. But they have their place and their purpose, and I'm not a fan of seeing a kid on the spectrum that maybe there were some other things we can do on top of that, or routes we could take, or once we get things at a more stable place, then what are we doing to look at this 4-year-old on 3 drugs?
Yeah.
What are we doing as a next step? So I think with physicians, I know there's some great ones out there, and I'm not trying to beat up on all of them, but we have to spend the time. We have to know that there's hope, and we have to know that this is a very treatable issue.
Yeah.
But we have to take the time.
And truly, for families that are out there, when their child is diagnosed, what I hear endlessly is, why isn't there a one-stop shop, a place where I can go when I can find out all of these different things? And my answer to that always is, that it's TACA. That you guys have all of that in a very concise way on your website, which we haven't mentioned yet, but www.tacanow, so tacanow.org. And Emily will put it up too. Great resource that runs the gamut. Talk about some of the different things we have this week, but what are some of the things on the site that really excite you when you are talking to somebody first time?
Oh, we have a new
it's like picking a child. Which child do you like the best?
What's nice is for what we find really interesting is 2 things. Is we have over 70,000 unique visitors to the website every month, and over half of our visitors are like, what is autism? And holy gosh forbid does my kid have it? And that's the click-throughs that we're getting for a lot of the visitors.
An important audience.
It is. And one of the things that I really like is something that Holly Bortfeld wrote, which is, what do the autism symptoms mean? And a lot of those symptoms can be modified through applied behavioral analysis, but a lot of them are medical in nature that are very treatable. So I love that what autism symptoms mean. And I also love our new parent, click on it, and it's more scaled down. Sadly, it's 6 gigabytes of information on that server, and all of our video resides on YouTube, so that's not the video piece of it. So it is overwhelming, and unless you know what you're looking for, then what you want to do is plug into a free TACA mentor. And I know Holly and Moira discussed that earlier this week.
Yeah, but I think it bears talking about again, that is there for people and that they can take advantage of it.
And I think rather than trying to dig through it, you can search by topic, like seizures or sleep issues, or full inclusion. What does that mean, and how does that work? There are different pieces that you can go in and search, but often parents with children on the spectrum, you're dealing with 48 things and you have to wear 48 hats. Sometimes it takes a person on the outside to say, hey, go look in these 2 areas. And that should help drive some additional answers for your kids. So parents should be open, really open their heart, kind of admit, maybe I don't know everything.
It's hard, right? It's hard. That is a hard piece of the puzzle.
It is. And sometimes, when you find what we've seen with families, once they're connected to community, they do so much better.
It's true.
And I think that's what TACA is really the number one thing, is just connecting people to community. And when you get in isolation, good things don't always happen in isolation. Full Howard Hughes thing, your long nails, you're kind of going down the wrong path.
Oh, you're singing my song. I did that.
We got to get we got to get part of the community, and that's when people start learning. It's not just the traditional support group. Is connecting, identifying people that have kids with issues similar to yours, and then have a hopeful strategy for driving positive change. And that's through mentoring and through our coffee talks and chapters and conferences. We really try to be that combination of what I call high tech and high touch. You need that combination, not a pervert way, but the high tech. Being able to find that information, pull that, get what you need, and be able to delve further into that data. But then that high touch where you get a hug when you need a hug. You get connected to someone, like you say, that fate. You meet someone because you had to wait an extra 10 minutes for something. And that connection you can't get on the internet. No. God, they haven't created that tool yet. No. And some tools I don't want to see. Just saying.
Yes, that'll be the new app.
Yeah. There's an app for that? No,
I don't want it. But it truly, it's palpable in your organization. When the most recent conference that I was at, that you guys were all at, the ARI conference in Garden Grove, you see the TACA table, and there's the most fun happening at the TACA table always, right? It's moms and dads, and there's kids, and there's coloring and activity, and everybody's talking to everybody. It's a table that you have information all across the table, and people are it's always a place of congregation. And it's also where the most hugs happen at any conference that I've ever been at. And to see the connection, and somebody else walks up, and for me at this most recent one, and I've always seen this happen at other conferences too. Somebody walks up and they'll say their name, and somebody goes, "Oh!" because they're meeting for the first time, but they know each other. And that happened with Holly Riley and I. That I've read what Holly Riley has written for years, but never met her face to face. It was like meeting an old friend. And then to find out how many things in common our kids have, because you know how you're always, you meet somebody and you hear their story and you go, it's dissimilar to mine in this way, but in this way it's like mine. And then it's a deeper connection. And I didn't realize how much our kids had in common in terms of their interests and things and their age.
Oh, that's great.
So, but I always see that at your table, though. That, that's not a unique experience. That's, it's like a commercial for a phone company. If we ran a video of it in slow motion, it's all those people hugging and smiles and warmth and
we believe it or not, do training on that.
Really?
Yeah, and a lot of people comes naturally. They're just huggers and gushers and all that. But we witnessed at conferences, it can be very intimidating. You go in and you learn stuff you were hoping died at school, but you have to reopen that part of your brain and start to learn chemistry and biology and things I was praying we'd never have to look at ever again.
Oh, please. I never want to look at another peptide slide of casein in my life.
Methylation sucks. Got it.
I don't have that kind of head for things. I'm like, okay, that is a peptide of casein. Thank you.
Move on.
Yes.
But, so we get parents, and that's why I'm hoping back to the subtype thing. If you've got a bear, ideally we'd like to mark all the seminars that bears should go to.
There you go.
Versus somebody maybe sitting in something that just, they're going to occupy cycle time on something that's not going to be useful to them. So it was about 2001, we created the mentoring at conferences, and we geared up for it, we planned for it, and the whole goal was to get to know a person, take out the schedule, and tell them what sessions to go see.
Great.
And then in the exhibit hall, we would walk people through the exhibit hall and say, this vendor does this is why it's important. This vendor is cuckoo for coconuts, walk by quickly, no eye contact. Just kidding. Just kind of fun to throw that in there. But,
that's great.
But and just walk people around and then be able to connect them. And then with the card booth there, these guys provide the services your kids are going to need. You need to get this information and digest it later. So we're able to connect people and then get them and then have them come back and go, do you have any questions from that last session? And they go, how much do I need to learn? Well, really, what you need to do is you need to get a doctor that knows this because it's going to take you too damn long to get up to speed. So let's talk about how you apply that. So, we're able to take it and practically walk them down that path. And
that's great.
It's mentoring basically at conferences, and then we do the plug-in later on mentoring one-to-one, within their community, which is important.
Very important and so useful. And of course, it bears repeating that all of this is free.
Yeah.
That, if you're watching and going, oh, well, how much does that cost to have that? No, it's free.
Yeah, and
parents helping
it's parents helping parents, and the motto we've had is families with autism, helping families with autism. That's been since day one. But for me, we do our best to fundraise to fulfill the mission and continue to offer the services and support we do for free. So there's even if there's a fee like a conference fee or some type of fee. Like the last conference we did, it was $20 to register, and you got 6 speakers and a workbook, breakfast and lunch. So we're not making bank on the conference reg, but we still will scholarship. Right. 20 to 30% of the seats or efforts. So it doesn't matter where that family is, especially if they've got financial. Well, if you have a kid with autism, you have financial issues. Yeah. This just kind of goes together.
Absolutely.
So we try to make that the lowest barrier to entry and help people get down the road to peace without having to open up the wallet.
That's incredible. I want to take a break and come back. This book is sitting here on the desk, and I want to talk
about
right? Yeah. Because these are pretty amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And I just got my new volume 2 because I do have a maturing child. Crazy. So I want to come back and talk about what these are and why people should be interested in these and how they can get a hold of them, and more about this amazing thing that you've started. This thing that this
Remember, it's an army now. It's an army now. It's not just Lisa anymore.
No, but that's incredible in and of itself. I mean, that you have a vision, and you have found the way to disseminate your vision to create an army. That's no small thing, madam. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
I know, it's still kind of overwhelming, but it's really a beautiful thing just to see one-to-one families get the help. It's not necessarily one person. It's just watching that beautiful thing happen in front.
Absolutely.